We can't wait. We can't stand. 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 We don't stop. 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 We need to be strong for our hospitality. And we need to be strong for the first time, and we need to be strong for thousands of years and thousands of years of our lives. The party and the state have taken full charge of the children in the light of the future. 1,000 times as much power as we are. And that's because for our future generations, where we need to be more crowded and more energetic, if the bosom of a mere bag is lifted up, it shall not suffer, but it shall be glory with happiness. It's the pride that you've been on a rewarding path, even if it's been hard. It was another outburst of popular ideas after the moment of our party. For the past 12 years or so, we've been on the immortal journey of our party, which has led to a fiery love and reconciliation for future generations. To count their children's cheerful laughter and their uncalled happiness, it's as if it were being done in the blood of the sacred breast actor of the holy violation. Irrigation Kim Jong Un is vividly aware of how beautiful the future of the ship is and how firm it is. And they shall be borne by the great hospitality of the ship's laborers, in which there shall be a great multitude of new legends of love for the later generations. As we move forward in the depths of love for the hospitality of the great party. Revolution. Our country is truly the greatest revolution in the world. The greatest revolution in the world. It's a country, and it's always been put on a string of competitions. It's going to lose. The President of the Republic of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, has arrived in Pyongyang. I did. President Kim Jong Un, President of the People's Republic of Korea, has sent our country to our side of the country. Alexander Lukashenko, President of the Republic of Philadelphia, who is officially visiting. The comrade arrived in Pyongyang on a 25-day plane. The National Flying Council of Pyongyang was held by the People's Republic of Korea and by the United States of America. Wow. A flag from the Republic of Belarus is jumping, and a ship is in the air yard. The airmans were standing with honors. I'm a member of the Board of State and the Council of State, and I'm a member of the State Council. I'd like to introduce you to my friend Kim Jong Un, who is part-time Secretary of the Interior. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. Mr. Bila, I was warmly welcomed by my comrade Lukashenko. I'd like you to take Alexander to my comrades. There's a bunch of flowers in your enclosure. Children waving the flags of the two countries. I'd like to welcome the friends of Belarus. The government of the Republic of Belarus, Yuri Su Kyongdong. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Here are much kids. I'm sorry. Alexandro Yongdong Toto. Andre's getting better, comrades, industrialists. Andre's got it fixed. Near das jest out and fixing. They're working on it. The President of the Republic of Belarus, Alexander Luke. She's looking for a pyloric acid pour. The former President of the Republic of Belarus, who has officially visited our country, Alexander Lukaso, has been looking for a 25-day sun battle. I'd like to show you how I've announced it to the great monk Kim Il-sung and to the great dragon Kim Jong Un. The government of the Republic of Belarus, including the comrades of Yuri Shlyko, was involved. He is a member of the State Committee of the Democratic Republic. Kim Dog, Prime Minister of 4 different parts of the world, accompanied him. I'm going to share with you the words of the great Captain Kim Il-sung and the great toy maker Kim Jong Un. On top of this, the flower basket in its name has calmed down. In the tanning of the flower basket, we have a great captain, Kim Il-sung. To the great mortal, Kim Jong-un, one to the great mortal Kim Jong-jak. There was a group of inscriptions called Your Grace. And the president of Yunho, Lozia, Ulatsimi Bichtak. The bouquet of flowers sent by the pulsar was calmed down by the comrades of Alexander Lukashenko. The comrades of Alexander Lukashenko wrote to the cylinder of their visit. I'm so proud of you, Aunt Mary. You're the only one in the yard. You're here, Garso. You know the side. You don't know what to do. Was you this? You can be less brave. I went to the mountains when I was driving to the wild. Take off my son, who's sitting well. It's fun. It's like a big show. It's like a design for people that's mad at you. You should I stay today? Not as you outside it. He's got a good lung bleed. Oh, oops, nation. I do it. You don't know what you're gonna do when you're alive. You're a bit of an old man. What do you see, Dishy? A club in a whale-like pier house. I always love the sound of this grudge. And if you have a son, you have a hero, you have a child, you have a hero, you have a hero, you have a boy, you have a boy, you have a son, you have a son, you have a son, have a son, you have a son, you have a son, you have a son. You have a son, 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 you have a son. Zorn, you have a son. You have a son, 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 you have a son. 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 Son, you have a son. I'm going to give you the cup, and you're going to be wrong, and I don't know what to do. You're wrong. 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 You're wrong, 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 you're wrong. Good evening. In the previous video, we looked at the problems of the year after the beach. This time I've also heard a little bit about these sorts of initiatival problems for improving production of monomims on the beach. Yeah, let's do that. Now, in the field of agriculture, there's a wave of pros and cons, and there's a lot of redundancy, 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 and there's a lot of redundancy. They don't do math either. And the beach food. Oh, near the point always instantaneous. It's a very productive breed of Elijah. You accept the advanced forms. The beach food needs to be raised to a specialized level, and we can increase the productivity of the units. Okay, yes, date would What's the most important thing here? Yes, the most important thing is to create a sadistic modeling system that specializes in the production of species. And if you think about it, this is the end of the end production system. We're talking about a system that specializes in feeding the seeds of a food source, such as the mare or the clam. At the same time and under the same conditions, the problem that we're seeing in the development of the species is that we've developed and adopted a little of the right species that have adapted to. If you're going back inside, you'll see that in the last few years, we've used a lot of handovers that we built with the Muchuri Sivadi, which is about 1 millimeter long of thin wool, and we've built it in a vertical fashion. Only had yesud. And this method of picking up the vertical formula is that there's a lot of conciliation in the country, because there's different light conditions in the upper and the middle and the bottom. And from these amulets, we can now make them a Sidian thickness of 6 millimeters thick, so that we can re-enrich the spores again. And we're also doing this on a horizontal basis, so that we can reassemble the furrows and wrap them up enough to make sure that they're fully suited for the child stage. And as the method of harvesting changed, so the innovation happened, and at the end of the year, when the catfish grew up about 1 centimeter long enough, there was a continuous spread of the wool in a way that would close it directly into a nice row. But now I'm going to sleep about 1 centimeter, which I don't know. If we unwind the wool that was wrapped in motu and raise it again for a month or so in the ocean, they grow to be 14 or 15 centimeters or more. I've grown up like this, and I've set a set of ducks at Mogul, one at a time. Only is working on it. So, if you were to go through the harvest season, and if you were to organize the production of gold, you'd be able to do it in a reasonable way. We're opening up the country per person in Duma. We're improving the quality of the food production, and we're making it a little bit easier. It's much more likely to produce just the right cotton. What more advanced methods are being used in Bob's form? I've talked to the exhibition hall, but right now in Bob's form, we're taking a lot of advanced forms. And I'm also taking a 3-dimensional approach to what's going on out here. In particular, if you look at the pay in the farm and in the middle, you're going to have the breakfast of the clam. And you're going to have the breakfast of the clam. I am going to grow 3, 4, 5 clams in the middle of the floor. By restricting mobility and spraying it, we're producing more products from the same area iology in the form. I mean, can you take these ways to the hybrids of different kinds of people? Yes, right now in the form world, we've got oysters and caps, dragons and high, demand-based objects, and we've got food-based ecological traits, and we've got Honer on the floor. We're also accepting a lot of farming methods. It's empty inside, so when you're feeding on pain and worms in a shallow farm. So if we were to make the poetry rational, and then we were to put it back into the ground, you can look at the ecology of a farm and feel much better when you're on a bridge. And in the case of resuscitating in pain and absorption. And then, in the middle of the floor, they're going to take the seed-making method. Or they're going to take the seed-making method. or they're going to go back to the ground, and they're going to go back to the ground, and they're going to go back to the ground, and they're going to go back to the ground, and they're going to go back to the ground, and they're going to go back to the ground. They're going to go back to the ground, and they're going to go back to the ground, and they're going to go back to the ground, and they're going to go back to the ground, and they're going to go back to the ground, and they're going to go back to the ground. It's about building 5 seconds of sea cucumbers and putting them in sea cucumbers. If you're doing the red, you're going to be more productive than if you're doing the single. More importantly, you can get a lot of economic support. Yes, I'm telling you today that in those beach farms, we know all about middle-aged problems that are going to increase productivity per unit. I think it's going to take a lot of force to keep it going. One feet in charge. I found soul. I think it's going to take a lot of force to keep it going. With the recent aftermath of climate change and the slow melting of Arctic glaciers, the survival of the Arctic swords is seriously threatened. According to data, the size of the North Pole right now is approximately 2.6 million square compared to 40 years ago. Kilomento. In many parts of the North Country, the right-hand side has been reduced, so that North Korean swords can be found on the right-hand side. The hunting time has been reduced. They're trying to gain weight, but they're losing weight day by day. Loss of weight due to hunger robs us of the strength to overcome the harsh winters. Yes, some North Korean swords have found fruit like 3 sea cucumbers in a bath. But they can't satisfy the bear's stomach. Some bears don't hibernate or move to preserve their weight. In order to understand the survival of polar bears at the site of the takeoff, biologists have been able to say, we put a photograph of the bear's neck and we observed it. The researchers found that 19 out of 20 bears. I've lost 21 kilos of weight over the next week. It turns out that the Arctic swords lost about 7% of their body mass in 21 days. In January, researchers found that the swords had less capacity to eat on land. It's said that there's a lot of waste for swords in comparison to their ability to get high. Resilience rights are trying to supplement the capacity of the spring's fat water system or springing. Researchers say it's best to do a lot of research on resilience in the spring. But this study has been done at a time that's not in the spring, but it's very successful. This time researchers happened to discover and investigate bears looking for mosquitoes on land. In September of 2023, the great global warming in the North Pole caused the North Pole to hit the middle of nowhere. It's registered as a threatened species. They said there's going to be another change in the Arctic, and they said there's going to be another change on land. We need to protect the Arctic sword that's going to be forgotten for a long time. The Arctic swords that are now on land are the ones that will be destroyed by the grass and the fruit of the mountains, or by the sea, or by the animals that are dead. They're eating bones. Bears find mosquitoes for a day to fill their stomachs. They're traveling 93 kilometers up there. It's the state of the polar bears and their babies. That's the state of the polar bears and their babies. They're giving her a huge capacity. What they're most concerned about is the fact that they're going to be able to raise their babies. It's a bear with a bear. Bears with cubs lack capacity. Only there it's stored capacity. That first. We can't even raise our babies properly. I'm nervous. I can't even take my babies to the If you don't get your milk and mosquito tied right, you're not going to be able to find a place on land. They're going to die. Now we wet houses, they're the effects of climate change. We need to minimize it and save the most dangerous Arctic swords. I'm sorry, but I don't know what I'm talking about. The robots are the supply robots, space and ocean development robots. A variety of global robots, service robots and so on. In particular, as Robert progressed and his abilities went out of hand, it's doing a very big bath in a lot of our lives. I am going to introduce you to 3 types of rovers that have recently been developed. It's Robert, who's watching the crops and he's trying to figure out what's going on in the crop, what's going on in the weeds distribution. We're going to have to collect information, and then we're going to be able to scientificize the use of salinizers. It was developed under the goal. According to the developers, the AI technology, introducing surveillance robots for 8 hours, 20 hours. We can manage the nuclear fields. It's a robot that uses every plant's location in the field. Well, is it a weed or a weed? With the seal, it's going to be food. And so you can see the difference between the national diet and the weeds. It's an artificial device that transmits burns. Weeds that are currently worth $250,000 on the bat, 6 hectares above the ground. It's confirmed. Now we're looking at Robert for an egg snail. We're also trying to stop the damage to the farm water. Once we've picked up the egg snail, they're going to release the timeouts. On the other hand, developers are trying to get robots to watch the farm goods. We're going to be using it to maximize information on farms. It's called a plan. This is Robert, who was developed by a group of researchers from all over the country. Here's Robert, who's growing water. As you can see, Robert's got multiple layers of hydroponics growing. It's designed to manage structures. When the controller knocks on the computer keyboard, Robert says, "We're going to move all of them, or going to move all of them, and we're going to figure out what's going on with plants." It's going on. Now developers are working together with Robert and the coordinator. It takes away its ability to create a system of hydroponics. We also need to speak. We also need to speak. All of the high-ranking processes of the current hydroponic system. It's run by Love 2, but there's still essential processes that people need to do. For example, the packaging process of products. Because if you're working with a human and a love toe, it's very important that you remember to be safe. It was an important branch of the Lover 2 development business. We need to find a way to protect people when this Lover 2 is working. It's very close to people, and it's very, very close to the work of Love Tuple. Robert Palu was part of the process of performing a number of tasks in the hydroponic construction. And then we took an object made out of 3D life and tested it and proved it wasn't baked to humans and it wasn't covered in capacity. Robert, the cave guide. Robert, who is born in Robert to guide people who look at art, is said to have been completed in 17 years. If you've heard of the ancient Greek East Coast, where the spectators are famous for their types of stone and slicing, Robert introduces himself and leads them to the underworld. Robert says that you can have a simple 3-way conversation with observers, and that 33 different forms of play can answer the Greek question. At the end of Aubert's solution, which is a 150-meter passage, observers will follow the guide through the next section. And Robert says he's going to be teaching at the newly built Plastic Reality Museum. With this deadline, I'd like to introduce you to some of Robert's digs. Like the United States, to be able to travel through the same kind of soil as the US Army. This Robert, which was created, is said to be operating on remote control. Over Robert is a prison report recording temperature and humidity. Now researchers are trying to get this Robert back to work. I'm gonna use it to look for messages from the animals in my pockets. It's a disease that's causing damage to animals. And it's a disease that's causing damage to the animals. And it's a disease animals, and it's causing damage to the animals. And it's a disease that's causing damage to the animals. And it's a disease that's causing damage to the animals. And it's a disease that's causing damage to the animals. We're trying to stop it. The possum has ticks on its skin. Get out of my skin. They live in oysters. And that's what's causing the disease to spread. So, what we've been doing is we've been trying to figure out what's going on in the summer. What's going on in the summer? 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 You know it's better to stay up in the burrows in the winter. What a shame in my baggy and doggy. We found it. During the summer, we can treat a lot of possums. If there's one thing you can do to reduce a lot of strength in this burrow, it's going to be a field test to find a possible solution. Robotic technology that is becoming more sophisticated and more loving and diverse. On the basis of this, the new robots are being developed. We're going to make a radical contribution to the progress of human civilization. We know today, as societies develop and people's civilization levels rise, the demand for tourism is growing day by day. Tourism depends on coastal tourism, mountain tourism, and so on. There are dozens of different types of ski tours, mountain climbing, spa tours. In our country, where there's plenty of hot springs, there's a much higher demand for care and a better care, and a greater demand for hot springs. It's more than 20 cities in the middle of the earth, hot water. The day of the week and the number of minerals that we have in here, we're going to talk about a lot of different things that we're going to talk about. The Bible says that God will wipe out every tear from their eyes, and death will be no more, neither will mourning, nor outcry, nor pain be any more. In our country, there are 50 or so primitive villages distributed in Yoroshi stations. In our country, the famous hulks, the jubilant villages, the hulks, the horticultans. In the resorts of these temperate ceilings, they're hot tubing minerals, and they're headed for the hot springs culture. So at this time, I'm going to tell you a story about hot springs tours. According to the data, the hot tubs appeared in Guide Rome. In the last century, these baths were used only for miracles and for the rich. Over the years, the family's show for the hot tubs has been raised, and the service facilities in the hot springs areas have been built to make it specialized. And it's said that, as one of the 20-year-olds in the world, these hot springs are developing, and that each year more than 100 million people are taking part in them. Now, in many parts of the world, in many countries, there's a fundamental need for care and care. I want to talk to you about people's demands for this original tour, which is a form of restoration tourism. So, as a reflection, we're looking for sources of resources. And we're looking for new forms of tourist attractions. And we're looking for new sources of resources. We're developing it. Once you're in the source area, you're going to be able to treat them effectively. And you're going to be able to get enough of them. There's a convention where there's these sources of resources. And the weather conditions combine, and the landscape is beautiful. And the source of the river is the transportation conditions, the housing conditions, the service conditions for food and treatment. That's a lot of competitions. We've seen a series of problems that have been highlighted in Gala in the development of the original platform in many countries. You see, first of all, the host racer, the horse racer, the Gulf Chief, and all the other river caravans. It's constructed in a complex form, and it's increasing the impact of the river. With the world's track, we've got the Ministry of Health and the Cultural Retirement. A comprehensive spa treatment service. It's a multi-acquired complex of multicultural devices. It's perfectly equipped with a hat. The hot springs have been used as a resource for natural healing. They're saved during the season by light powering, and they're saved in the absence of it. It's light powering activity that can go on for 4 seasons. The hot springs are designed for treatment and care. It's just that it's a photovoltaic activity. It's a relatively young age. So as a result of the hot springs river activity, with the spas and other traditional treatments, it's a variety of cultural forms. The field of love with us, and the field of love with us. A good day for every country. In every corner of happiness. Today, millions of people are going through hot springs. The hot springs, culture, the hot springs. They're scenting as much as they want. December 27th, 2725. It's a wonder. I'm going to try and revolutionize the nation's economy. I'm gonna take you a photo of something that's meaningful, and I'm gonna say, he'll warm his hands. He's the one who's standing beside him. There's a scientist. That's what he's doing. Why don't you show us? The National Academy of Sciences and Natural Sciences Research Institute. The wonder is the closest you can get to the blue sky. A man with a doctor's curtain is a comrade in Park Sung. In December of 2025, A lot of times, I've been working on a silver factory in a repair mess. It's the kind of thing that you value when you're put in it. I've been working on the production of just production facilities. A scientist who played the key role. Oh, I'd like to thank you very much for the silver factory. Oh, city factory. I told you about the production facilities. Vice Chair's Joint Rayon, Director of the lab. The key technology for producing paper in our form, using the common raw materials, is the pulsating together. That's where I've been studying for over 12 years. In the lab, the reporter said that Park Il-sung and the members of the lab were going to produce our type of paper. I saw 2 photographs of Nade setting up the process. Fortunately, through this picture, the journalist has been working with Park Il-sung for 12 years at no time. It's like a group of researchers who've walked together on a path of unintuitive exploration on the screen. I was able to hold it. Why shouldn't I? This is a photograph of a guy who was successful in the 16th city, driving in 2016. He was taken on the scene with joy. Scientists who've been working with him in research. Park Sung-il is quiet on the outside, but we're going to study it. When the exam is presented, all the details and all the fees are paid only by the party. It was done at the best level to bring joy. Why do you see him die tired? I want you to focus on it, and I want you to know that it's not about the water. It's 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 about the water. About the water. It's 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 about the water. About the water. It's 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 about the water. About the water, it's 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 about the water. You, about the water. He said, you're a hard worker. There's a city in Park Dong-dong, and it's a city in the south of the plain, and it's a city in the middle of nowhere. His father was a coal miner. I really didn't know what was going to happen to me, because I really thought at the time I couldn't figure out what to do with myself. But at the time of my graduation, I realized that I wanted to do science history, and I didn't want to do it in my society. National Academy of Justices has been assigned to be students for the 2nd year, and they've been trained for 2 years for electricity. It's taken away so much from me. Well, at the same time, he kept warm with his own family acid that he didn't have in the party. It's a good thing to be a good scientist and to be a leading industrial scientist in this country. The new living chips of the Satellite Scientists Housing District were also among the first to be given. Where are the people as especially loved and cared for by the party as we scientists? He said that if you're a scientist, you really appreciate your party, and you must take the lead in solving the problems that you're most worried about and most anxious about. When the silver paper mills were being made, Park Il-sung said that the factory's equipment, which provides a market to build an inexpensive paper factory for the local people, had to be the best. Flour, tortilla, Park Il-sung has failed in the production process of our clock's justice system, and it's been a long time, But I made the most valuable moral truth. I don't know how the party meant it to be a model for development, not for imitation. In December 2015, there were twice as many metaphors as there were in the US. Lord Yazo, Lord Keonsin's comrade, calculated that Park Sung-sung, the National Academy of Sciences, and the rest of Park Sung-sung, Sung-sung, the research group at the Institute of Natural Sciences and Sciences has developed a new set of facilities with a passion for creation. You're gonna have to take a look at what they've been through on the 9th round of the contests. You've appreciated that. I'm going to a post-law event. I'm going to have a balance, something close to me, and I'm going to say, that's when I gave you a call. My heart's in such a state of mind that my heart's in the middle of nowhere. I didn't think of it. Oh, yes, my luck is empty on the right. I'm thinking you're running out of time and you're doing a functional job. I don't know what I'm talking about. 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 I came out, and it was the first time I had a worker, and he taught me. And he said, they're the ones who've studied and developed multiple years at the Institute of Justice and Technology. The enemy saw me and laughed. That's the one who held your hand and remembered you for your hard work. Wouldn't it be? And then I realized that I was a little bit late, and I was so excited to be there. I couldn't tell you that I was right. What happened was that December 27, 2025, in taking pictures of meaningful memorials with innovators and sympathies, hold the hand of Park Il-sung and position him next to you. It's deeply impressed on us scientists where the greatest rewards are and where the oceans are. In the glory of each and every city, we have the people of this country, the people of our country, the people of our country, the people of our country. The best rewards and the best rewards for scientists are the problems that the party is most concerned about, the problems that they hope for. The trouble that the people are eagerly waiting for is to be solved from the front. I don't want to remind you that only that person will not get the best hero in the closest place. At the end of the year, the journalist was convinced that our party had a large scientific army that could solve our power, our wisdom, any scientific and technological problems, and that, like Park Il-sung, was technologically bringing about the rise of the previous year, so the construction of a social power would be pushed forward. Last February, at Pyongyang's International Cultural Association, the birth of the great general, Lord Nero. On the 10th, we've got a national fibrosis. On the stage, with the works that art experts and enthusiasts have created, there's a boy, 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 a boy. The students and Orins created a variety of different themes. Utopia's eldest daughters. This is a project by students at Pyongyang Arts University, or Wintershade Motetkai, at Pyongyang Arts University. It shaped the shape of our physicalists in international games, who've come out on the right and blown our flag. I've taken the form of a strong man who has a new world record on the grossest cosmonauts. We've had a huge flag in every international event, and we've just been broken by a bunch of gunmen. So we created this for a long month in my jade. We're going to sleep a miner just like my brother's sister, who's been fond of Auge. I grew up in a great beauty family. Like the locals who have broken through the dragon's love. It's not like you're growing up in a country that's a great right. The work was right about their feelings. It's not the kind of thing that's going on in the city of Pyongyang and the rural mall. The fireworks of the new houses, the fine work. Glucons pay for happy days in cultural resorts. You know, if you're going to take your country's heart for granted, you're going to have to take care of it. Every piece that reflects the image of the students in the Soviet Union, and not its stock. The night is in the love of the enemy. The lives of our people who are going through the rush of life. It was mirrored. It's the joy of the three houses. This is a piece that my father, Kim Jong Un, took pleasure in. This is by little art and student, Kim Chinley. I watched the new houses on television. I drew the happiness of receiving a new home. I had a happy time last year with my parents on a well-failed river on the coast of Gamma. I then created this piece to close people's happiness and my feelings to their work. 3 of the students from some of the lighthouse went to school. It's a happy scene. It's a bridge to love. I've got 3 school uniforms and school equipment, and I'm happy to sit down. Works that reflect a